Hello, thanks for clicking on this video. Today I decided to trigger some K-pop stans with my opinions because why not? You already know. I don't think you need me to make any disclaimer, so without wasting any more time, let's start with the opinions. NCT's concept is just an excuse to debut trainees without paying for their debut. I actually like NCT's concept of unlimited members, even though this inevitably creates unpleasant situations where some members barely get anything compared to others. But other than that, I have always found this concept very interesting. We have to admit though that it's just an excuse for SM to debut trainees without having to form a new group whose debut and following comebacks they would need to finance. If they just add members to an already existing group, then they would actually save a lot of money in the long run. Whether you like NCT's concept of having unlimited members or not, you have to admit it's mostly just a way for SM to save money and not having to bother creating and managing new groups. I don't like 4th gen stans obsessing over all-rounders. I honestly love me a good all-rounder. I have so many biases that are considered all-rounders and I stan many groups that are marketed as all-rounded groups. However, I feel like 4th gen's obsession regarding all-rounders is kinda toxic in the sense that for many people being very good at something is not enough anymore if that idol isn't good in another department as well. Just to make an example, I don't like the way a very good main vocalist is expected to also be very good at dancing. If they are, that's awesome. I know there are many people who are both great vocalists and great dancers, but just cause some people are like that, it doesn't mean that someone who specializes in one thing deserves to be valued less. Nobody would have considered it a big deal in 2nd or 3rd gen. Nobody valued Taeyeon less for not being an outstanding dancer when she was already an outstanding singer. Nobody came for CL because she cannot belt like Beyonce, cause who cares when she is a very good rapper. So why is it that now everyone expects people to excel at everything? Let idols specialize in one thing. I'm not saying it's okay for idols to only do one thing well and completely suck at everything else. However, just because there are idols who could be main vocalists, main dancers and main rappers, it doesn't mean everybody else has to be like that. It's kinda like expecting a professional football player to also be great at playing tennis and basketball. If they can do it all, that's awesome. But if they cannot, that's perfectly fine and you shouldn't complain. Most people are not standing underrated groups to be original like you claim. We've all heard the sentence standing underrated groups doesn't make you special, and I've always wondered why there are so many people that genuinely believe that those who mostly stan underrated groups are only doing it to be quirky and different from everyone else. Obviously there are people like that. People who are like, I'm not basic like all of you who only stan mainstream groups. However, most people just genuinely stan underrated groups because they like them, and most of the time, they also stan and listen to popular groups. But even if they don't happen to stan popular groups, have you ever considered that maybe it's just because they do not like their sound or they cannot vibe with the members? Not every person who stans mostly underrated groups is doing it to be cool and different. Get over it and let people stan whoever the fuck they want. Lores are so overrated. I used to always be so intrigued and interested in lores, but now I realize they don't mean anything if then the music is mediocre. I know a lot of K-pop stans like to put their faves on a pedestal and consider them almost superior to other groups just because their faves have a cool storyline and other groups don't, but I think cool lores sometimes make people forget about the music being mediocre. I honestly prefer groups that don't have a lore or groups whose lore is not that prominent in their music videos and songs, just because I like the focus to be mostly on the music. There are obviously groups that have lores and also have great music, but I overall just think lores are overrated. Hating on a song is totally different from hating on the artist. Just to make an example, I could be saying Stereotype by Stacey sucks and you best believe some K-pop stan would be like, what? Did you just say you hate Stacey? How dare you? I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous, cause how am I hating on an artist if I express my disliking about the song, or how am I even offending an artist? By the way, Stereotype is a bop. I was just making an example. However, it kinda seems obvious to me that disliking a song doesn't mean disliking the artist. But to some people this is not that obvious and you literally need to explain it to them, and chances are they will still consider you an hater anyway. Keplians are awful. Every day I wake up, just wanting to enjoy some Kepler content, but there's no such thing as a peaceful day in the Kepler fandom. Every day there's one member receiving death threats, another member being criticized for breathing, someone else being randomly dragged by some solo stans who would want to see everyone but their bias perishing. I think the Kepler fandom is one of the most toxic, if not the most toxic fandom I've ever been a part of, and I'm not even exaggerating. It's full of solo stans that are unable to support their faves without ganging up on the rest of the group, and this is sickening. It's hard being a Keplian and constantly seeing so much hate, especially considering I happen to bias Chaehyun and Taeyeon, who pretty much get the most hate for no damn reason, being the punching bags of the group along with Bahi. I know there are awesome Keplians out there, but there are way too many evil ones and I don't like the turn this is taking. IST Entertainment is doing the wrong thing with Weekly. Ever since Weekly debuted, they have been doing many unique things. They were unique for using props on stage. They were refreshing for their sound and the way they expressed the concept. I've always thought the company did the right thing with them from the very beginning, but they shouldn't have made Weekly switch sound and concept like this. I'm not saying this comeback was bad. The song is low-key a bop. All of the members absolutely propped off, especially Choa. She totally owned this comeback. She's actually insane and I'm so damn happy that my bias finally got actual lines after 2 fucking years and she got to show just how amazing she is. showing main rapper supremacy. But besides the members absolutely eating this concept up, this release kinda falls flat compared to Weekly's previous songs. I don't feel like this will be memorable and will have longevity. I'm not saying they should have stuck with the schoolgirl concept their whole career. They are growing up and it's natural to switch things up, but if they wanted to do something more mature they could have at least done something more unique. Not to mention this switch up was so abrupt, there was no natural progression from their super fresh and cheerful songs to this. It's literally such an abrupt change and it makes you go like what the fuck? Why? This song doesn't stand out among other girl group releases and I hope Weekly won't lose what makes them unique. I could see many groups doing this concept. I could see Tribe, Luna, ITZY, NMIXX, Hot Issue and many more, but not Weekly. I repeat, this wasn't a bad song, but it doesn't feel Weekly. This is not about whether you like the song or not. This is about the concept not making any sense. Stop downplaying the importance of stan attractors. I know we all like to think that K-pop values talent above everything else, but that's just unrealistic. There are members that add nothing to the group as far as talent is concerned. They don't hold any main or lead position and this makes it so easy for some people to just label them as useless. However, most of the time these idols are added to the group because they're stan attractors, attracting fans with their visuals, their personality or other characteristics that make people interested and curious about them in the group. Stan attractors are important. They're the reason many of us get into a group in the first place. If it wasn't for some of these idols we would barely know about their groups, especially if the groups are not very popular. If stan attractors weren't part of the lineup, many people would be less interested in stanning the group. As much as talent is important and needs to be recognized and praised, personality and visuals also play an important role to some stans when it's time to get interested in a group. This is the truth whether you like it or not. We're all allowed to have a least favorite member. First and foremost, you should respect every member of a group and you should never send hate to anyone. But with that being said, I don't get why people are acting as if you're not allowed to have a least favorite member. There can definitely be someone you don't really vibe with that much, someone you maybe don't really like for some reason, someone you're not interested in, and that's okay. We've all had that one classmate or that one coworker we rarely talk with, and probably wouldn't hang out with during the weekend or that we wouldn't invite to our birthday party. Same thing with K-pop. If there's a member I really do not vibe with it's perfectly okay, obviously as long as I'm always respectful, but just know that you're more than allowed to not really care for one or more members without being told you're a terrible person. Woo have one of the best 4th-gen discographies. This is not a controversial opinion like some of the previous ones. This is just me promoting Woo as I should. They're not a super unknown group. However, I honestly think that if more people were aware of their existence they would regard them as one of the 4th-gen groups with the best discographies. I think that people who like ITZY, Weekly and Stacy's music could genuinely appreciate Woo's discography. I mean, all of these groups are different and have their own characteristics in terms of music, but I'm just saying, I think people that enjoy these groups' discographies would also enjoy Woo's discography a whole lot. There are a lot of underrated groups that have a sound that is not for everyone. However, Woo's sound is something I believe most K-pop stans would enjoy and it's a shame their discography is so underrated because, like I said, if they were more famous as a group I genuinely think people will start including them in the best 4th-gen discography discussion. So in conclusion, I suggest you to check their songs out if you haven't already. Both title tracks and B-sides are amazing and they deserve to be more known. Well, these were all the opinions I had for today. I hope you didn't get too triggered. If you want, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.